Hey, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and recently I mentioned expanding my channel theme, not just to teaching tips, but also to just, in general, how to have a healthier, happier, more balanced lifestyle as an academic or an ACT position. And so I thought that today I will talk about podcasts I recommend, because I mentioned in my video about creating morning routine that one thing I do is take a 30-minute walk every morning and I listen to podcasts or audiobooks when doing so. So I already have a video on this channel about podcasts I recommend for academics, for teachers specifically. But today I want to talk about just podcasts that I recommend in the sense of like motivation or inspiration or just like productivity that I find to be really motivating. And so that's the focus of today's video versus that first one that was more for a teaching podcast. And I'll link it below in case you're interested in listening to that one. So I'm going to use my phone for this because I have them all on my podcast app. The first one is Optimal Living Daily. And so basically this is a daily podcast, a new episode every day, and it's about living your optimal life. So I know there's more. I think there's one about health daily. I think there's a finance daily one too, or business maybe, but I listen only to the Optimal Living Daily. And so very short, usually like 10 or so minutes. And basically the podcast host is reading blog posts from various people with permission that he thinks will help you live your optimal life. So a few examples. Routines Are Meant to Be Broken by Jay Harrington of Life and Whim on Spontaneity and Freedom. 6 Tips for Waking Up Early and Crushing It by Joel of 5 a.m. Joel on Creating Morning Routines. To Have What You Want, You Must Give Up What's Holding You Back by Benjamin Hardy on Motivation and Sacrifice, and so on, right? So it's very much motivation, goal setting, productivity, how to live a better, more optimal life. So I find these helpful because they're nice and short, and it's interesting like hearing from like very much different people, right? It's blog posts across all categories of people who post online. So that's the first one that I recommend if you like short podcasts that are motivational. Another one is called Daily Boost, Motivation and Coaching. And so this is by just the host. So it's the host who's always the one speaking. He's not reading from others, for example, but it's similar. So usually about 10 or so minutes, maybe 12 or 14 per episode. It's daily as well. And so as you can imagine, this is about motivation to, again, live a better life. Now, one thing here, I do find the episodes a bit repetitive, but then again, you know, repetition can help you actually put a foot forward rather than only hearing it once and not doing anything. So there is, I guess, the pros and cons of that. But I do find, I don't listen to every episode, but every once in a while I do like to hear what he has to say. So a few ones recently. Asking for permission is silly. Momentum Freight Train. Goals are like hot donuts. 10 truths that change everything. One bad question that will make you happy. And so on. So again, kind of similar to the first one, but slightly longer episodes, and it's just one person versus, again, reading blog posts. So another one that I listen to pretty often. Now, if you're someone who prefers longer podcasts, then one option is the Mel Robbins podcast. It's pretty well known, but basically 45 minutes to an hour usually per episode, where Mel Robbins usually interviews somebody and talks about something tied to, again, having a healthier mindset, life, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally, all that, right? So better living is a theme that we're seeing here. And so a few examples here. 5 ways to improve your breathing for better health with the #1 breath expert in the world. 6 steps to navigating major change like a pro. A hilarious guide to back to school and college drop-off season. These 4 words will silence your self-doubt, a life-changing conversation. So these are much longer, and again, ties more deeply into research, into psychology. When she's interviewing people, usually they are experts. A lot of them are doctors, for example. So if you're someone who enjoys longer pieces, and again, it's more about, you know, the physical, psychological, emotional health, then I do recommend checking out and seeing if some of these are for you. And then another one that's a bit longer as well is Achieve Your Goals with Hal Elrod. So not one I listen to all the time because I do prefer shorter podcasts, but a lot of it tied to, again, motivation, getting what you want out of life, having a healthier mindset, etc. So, for example, what to do when you feel like giving up, harness the power of surrender, how to overcome feeling overwhelmed in 3 steps, upgrade your self-talk to achieve your goals, and so on. So again, very much a theme here of what these podcasts are about. Now, I'm going to end with one that I did recommend in that last episode or that last video about podcasts tied to teaching, because this one has been putting on a lot of episodes tied to teaching and AI, which obviously is a very hot topic right now and I think would be useful for you to know about. So this one is called Teaching in Higher Ed. And as you can imagine, it's episodes about teaching advice, teaching thoughts, reflections of those in higher ed. So longer episodes as well, usually about 45 minutes. But again, recently, a lot of them have been about AI. So assignment makeovers in the AI age with Derek Bruff, lessons in life and retrieval practice, high flex learning revisited, ways of being intentionally inclusive, making space for emergence, deliberative pedagogy, and so on. So if you go back throughout these last few months, a lot of them are about AI, but as you can see, other topics as well. So these are just a few, 2 short, 2 longer, and 1 that's longer and also specifically about teaching that I recommend if you're someone who is considering giving podcasts a try, especially if you're starting a walking routine, like I mentioned in my video about creating a morning routine, which I'll link below.